So you saw how we took our package design and we made a 3D box in Illustrator, brought it into Photoshop, and then we slapped our pieces onto the three visible sides to make it look like a 3D mock-up of a package. Put a little surface underneath there, a drop shadow, looks pretty good. What if I had a cylinder? What if I wanted to wrap that label around a cylinder and put that on there? Let me show you how you would do that. I'm sharing my screen. We're going to go to our friend Illustrator first to make a cylinder. As you know, what we've been doing a lot with this project is bouncing between these programs, and that's kind of like a design studio workflow. You typically do that. As you can see here, I've got that many programs open all the time. This is Command Tab or Control Tab to see what you've got going. I'm going back to Illustrator, hello. And we're going to take this circle that I just drew. I'm in preview mode, and I'm going to open up my effect, 3D materials, extrude and bevel, and I get this menu right here. The object menu, I want to extrude that, and I can say, how big do you want that to be? Oh, about that big. And I'd also kind of like to play with what direction am I looking at? Off axis top, isometric right. So experiment a little bit, if you will, with some of these views until you get one that you're kind of happy with. I'm going to put in some perspective because things I find always look a little more realistic when they get bigger as they get close to you. And I think I might also play with my y-axis there just a little bit. The other thing that's kind of fun is to take a look at your lighting effect. You can change the direction of the lighting or just turn it to diffuse. But this then gives you lots of control over how intense it is, the rotation of it, and also things like how tall it is, how high it is above your object. So you've got a lot of controls in there. Most of the stuff you just have to bang around in there and have some fun, which is, like, how great is that? I'm going to lift that just a bit. Okay, there we go. So I'm pretty happy. So now comes the really hard part. Watch this. I'm literally just going to copy this thing and then go to Photoshop, make a new document, and paste it. That's how hard this is. Edit, copy. You all know where that is. I'm going to go now to my friend Photoshop and say, I've already got my package open with that label that we're going to stick that label on. But if I say Command N, give me a new document, it says, well, wait a minute, there's something in your back pocket. In the clipboard, there's a thing that's already there. So I'm going to open that. I'm going to change my resolution here to 300 pixels per inch because I want a high res mock-up of this thing. CMYK color, sure, create. And then I go Command V, paste as pixels, and doink, there is my new cylinder in Photoshop. As you know, Photoshop says the first time you paste something, I'm not going to do anything else until you say it's okay. So I have to hit return to get that back there. Great. I'll bring up my layers and things like that. The tab key will hide your menus and bring them back again. Now I'm going to switch back into my fake mockup here, and I've got that label that I want. So I'm just going to copy that and bounce back in here and say Command V, paste. It's huge, but there it is on layer 3. Command T will get me to edit free transform, and I can use that to shrink this to a size that's more or less okay. I'm also going to do a couple of things. I'm going to make layer 3 multiply. I can see my package through the label. Perfect. I get shading from that. I also can see where I'm going with my warp. And I'm also going to rotate this a bit. Since I'm in free transform, the rotate tool is just like rolling over a corner and getting that. It doesn't have to be exact, but I want to get it kind of, approximated. So now I can see exactly what I'm doing. All right, now comes the fun part. Are you ready for the fun part? What we're going to do is control click or right click on this label. And we get this toy called the warp tool. And the warp tool is a lot like the Bezier curve point tools that you get in Illustrator. They've got anchor points and they've got handles. So there's an anchor point on the corner. I can grab that and pull it back to here. But then I've also got handles here that I can warp or stretch or smorch. What's the proper technical term for that? Smorching, I think it is. To put that where it's supposed to be on that. I'm going to hide my menus so I can see what the schmutz I'm doing. Put that down here. It looks pretty weird sometimes when you find yourself going, that's not going to work. That's not even close to where you're supposed to be. But I'm going to just grab that and pull it up. So basically what you're doing is using the anchor points and the curve handles to position your artwork wrapping it basically onto the surface. You'll notice I'm going to use my handles here to basically align with the edge of the cylinder like that. And then this one wants to come way back up here like that to line up with that back face. So as you can see, I've got some fooling around to do, but that's not too shabby. I might fool around with that a little bit more to get that to line up better. So the handles that come off the edges back here are more or less straight with that line. These handles up here control this curve and how it attaches to the front. And then there are more handles here, like there's one right there you can see, that will control how stretched the content is as it goes across that surface. So you've got lots of control in here in terms of how that plays. Say okay when you're done, accept, and as I say, because we made layer 3 multiply, it's already got the shading of that cylinder underneath it showing through. So now I could put in a surface, I could add a drop shadow, I could have lots of fun to make this thing look right. But that's the trick in terms of figuring out how to make the label that we made wrap around a surface like that using that warp tool. Hope that was fun. I look forward to seeing what amazing things you create with this. See you.